I was recently reviewing some Robert Sapolsky material, and I'll link a clip of one of his lectures from 15 years ago ish, um, on the Substack, so you guys can see it. But he was talking about, particularly about prisoner's dilemma, game theory kind of stuff. And this is a behavioral thing where we see that the most successful strategy, like by a wide margin, to deal with uh, people, to deal with the prisoner's dilemma, to deal with trust and betrayal and all that, is the tit for tat strategy. And this is something that we see. This is often called the law of reciprocity in philosophy, because this is something that we see repeated over and over and over again, either in the positive or the negative, the golden rule and silver rule, that do unto others as you would like them to do unto you, or do not do unto others as you would not like them to do to you. In fact, most of what I've seen of kind of the global um, philosophical trends tend towards more to the negative, right? It's like, look, if you don't like bad things happening to you, don't treat others that way. And it makes sense that they would phrase it that way more often than the positive. But both are perfectly valid. They're two sides of the exact same coin. It's just about reciprocity, even in a very tangential way, like Full Metal Alchemist's um, equivalent exchange is kind of the same idea. They're just doing it from a material perspective. And that, again, that's kind of tangential. It's not a one for one. But anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is because this is something that I've complained about for years, watching people spar and watching people fight, and that is the idea that people kind of go tit for tat in fights, as if fighting was a chess match, and it's something that people refer to all the time. And the problem is that fighting's not a chess match. And the idea that you would do something and then wait for your opponent to do something back to you, this idea of the give and take and all of that, it's not a smart way to fight. I mean, the purpose of fighting, this is a really broad statement too, but the purpose of fighting, once the conflict has started, is to come out on top, to win, right? People fight for all sorts of reasons, but the reason that fights happen in the first place is because you have two or more people who disagree about something to the point where it is coming down to either verbal argumentation, emotional stuff, or indeed, in our case, physical stuff. And look, in the world of sports and stuff, you don't need a disagreement. You're just testing to see who's the best, right? At least in that venue on that day amongst the people selected. But when we're looking at that, right, the point of a fight is to win. The point of the fight is not to win under the conditions of taking turns back and forth, because clearly taking turns requires one person to have an advantage out of the gate, of either being giver or receiver, depending on which side you see as being advantageous, and in some circumstances it can be either or. And that's not the way that these fights are billed or set up. We want these fights to be amongst equals and on as equal ground as possible, barring the fact that equality doesn't exist. But fights are not tit for tat, and they shouldn't be tit for tat. And the idea that that you should give space to your opponent to do things is a flawed idea, kind of, for lack of a better term, perpetuated by things like chess and, all the gaming that we do. Like, look, when I was growing up, I was big into role-playing games, and that's all turn-based. In high school, I got into trading card games, and those are all turn-based, right? Games almost kind of have to be. There are ways to make games not that, but they become a lot more chaotic and a lot harder to deal with as games. But we've mentioned before, fighting's not really supposed to be a game. So we need to kind of ditch this tit for tat idea when it comes to fighting, right? It is a fantastic idea from a philosophical, ethical perspective and everything, because it really does deal with justice and punishment and forgiveness and things like that. And again, I will link Robert Sapolsky's take on that because it's fantastic. But that's not what fighting is about, and we really shouldn't treat fighting that way. Like, there's a reason that they score aggression, right? There's a reason that in the point systems, which I disagree with, but they exist, so you have to deal with them sometimes. There's a reason that in the point systems they award aggression. So something to chew on, think about a little bit. Try not going tit for tat. Try not to give space. And look, I know sparring's not a fight, but even then, work on good strategy. Don't work on this back and forth tennis match of, you hit me, I hit you, right? All right, I'm going to cut it off there, and I will talk to you guys later. Good journey. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share. Check us out on our other socials, and please head over to blacksunboxing.com to get a little more info, including how to contact us. Furthermore, if you are in the Phoenix area, please feel free to stop in, say hi, join in for a class, whatever. Also, if you ever see us cite sources or just for additional content, please check out our Substack. That is where we put all of the sources we use in our videos and is a major part of this. Plus, it serves as a membership platform for long distance learning and for people who would like to support us but aren't local. We would greatly appreciate it if you signed up. Even just the free membership helps us out a lot. All right, I will see you guys in the next video. Good journey.